What it do, everybody? This is the Cool Club. I am the Glitch Trap. Bonk, bonk, bonk. Let's go ahead and get into this review. Knock, knock at the cabin. A knock at the cabin with starring Dave Bautista, Jonathan Goff, Rupert Grint, Ben Aldridge, and Abby Quinn. This is written by M. Night Shyamalan. We all know M. Night Shyamalan is known for making some pretty out there movies. M. Night Shyamalan is definitely hit or miss, but recently he's made a lot of good movies. I'll say recently he's been more hit than miss. He's came out with The Sixth Sense. That was a hit. Split, I love that. Unbreakable, one of my favorite movies. We have Old. He came out with the sequel to Unbreakable, which was Glass, and that was in 2019. That pretty much wraps up the best movies that he's came out with. Like there's been others like The Lady in the Water, The Happening. Oh my God, that was a total turd. The Happening sucked. Signs was okay. With Mel Gibson in 2002, but I didn't really like that movie. The Visit he came out with, so you get the gist. M. Night Shyamalan, his style of making movies is so he's a psychological filmmaker. It's more cerebral. If you look at his films, he's made a lot of suspense slash horror films, but that's his lane. He also had another movie, The Village, which everybody in The Village that came out in 2004, most critics and most people I know who watched that film, they were disappointed by that. That was a film that once you get the twist at the end, you don't even need to watch the movie again. Like, it wasn't many good things. So let me get into I say all that to say, how do I feel about this movie, Knock at the Cabin? This movie, just to sum it up in one word, this movie was weird. Yes, this movie was weird, to sum it up in one word. From the beginning of the film, you have the child actor, Christian Kui, I think that's her name. The little girl, her name is Wen in the movie. She plays Wen. She's vacationing with her two parents, Eric and Andrew. These are, now again, here we go with the LGBT. This LGBT relationship is at the forefront of the film. You can't say you don't have representation, in the LGBT community. Like, this film which is based off a book, a novel. This film here by Paul Tremblay, this film puts Eric and Andrew's relationship at the forefront. This is the center of the film. Their homosexual relationship and blended family, the new family, as you would say. That's the center of the relationship. Of the movie. And so Wen is she's vacationing with Eric and Andrew at a remote cabin, and she's just minding her business, catching grasshoppers, when a stranger approaches her, Leonard, and that's David Bautista, and Bautista, ends up charming her. Bautista plays a very charming psychopath. Like, he plays a very convincing killer. He almost will convince you that you need Jehovah's Witnesses like him. Could you imagine Dave Bautista coming to your door as a Jehovah's Witness? Knock, knock. Do you know about the Lord? People will be more inclined to listen to him. You understand? But yeah, he's a very charming character, but also intimidating as well. And as from there he meets Wayne, and he tells her that he has to do some things, that Wynn and her parents is gonna help them save the world. And then the chaos and stuff ensues from there, because as you've seen from the trailers, they believe that Eric and Andrew and Wynn, they have to choose they have to choose to kill one of them. One of them has to die in order to save everyone on the planet. So everyone on the planet's gonna die unless Eric, Andrew, and Wynn choose to kill one of them, to kill a member of their family. Again, that's pretty weird, but that's the premise. And Dave Bautista, his character Leonard, he's like basically like the ringleader, and he's letting them know, he's showing, letting them know that everything, like this is not just something that we made up. Like, we all had a vision. Like, everyone who was at the cabin with Batista, they had a vision of where the cabin was, what was going to happen to their loved ones, if they didn't act, where to meet up. Like, all of this stuff they believe wasn't coincidence at all. They all had visions of what was going to happen. And throughout the movie, they're showing news clips to Eric and Andrew of what's going on outside, but they're not buying that. They're not believing that, of course. So you can take it from there. This is going to be the spoiler-free review, but I will say that Dave Bautista was gold, and he's a great actor. He's becoming into his own. Ben Aldrich, did an okay job, and Jonathan Goff, they held their own. But let's be real. For the most part, like, you didn't care enough about this relationship. They didn't build it, enough for us to care. They showed flashbacks of how they got together, and things like that. But it wasn't enough. I don't know if I didn't even catch like how they really got together. I think one of them was married to a sister or something. I don't know. And they just ended up getting in a relationship and trying to, they showed like one instance of them having a fight for their LGBT relationship when a guy busted a bottle on Ben Aldridge's head while they were in the, they were talking about their relationship. And he's like, "You're talking too loud. You're talking too," one of those typical homophobic tropes put in the movie. Some drunk guy, white guy talking, "Oh, you're talking." Come on, man. Like, this 2023, man. You got people walking around here in whole sex changes and everything else, man. Like, no one's really, just like, you do you, and then let us do us. That's it. That's really how people feel, But you have that tossed in, but you still don't really care at all about their relationship. Now, with the girl Wynn, she adds a level of vulnerability for the audience to care about. Now, in the book, Wynn dies, the little girl in the book. I'm not gonna tell you what happens in the movie, but in the book, yes, Wynn dies. But you just really gotta really get it. Of course, like I said, his movies are psychological. You have to sit down, get into it. You can't be going to the bathroom. You want to catch every piece of this. It's not like a super mystery. Like, everything's pretty much laid out. The whole premise is laid out from the beginning. There's nothing that expounds on it, or that they must expound on from the beginning premise. When Batista gets there and tells Wynn that her and her parents are gonna help save the world, that was the premise that that you can go from. I mean, because everything else that stemmed from that, everything else stemmed from that, is what I'm saying. Build it from that. They're trying to protect Dave Bautista. He's a coach. He has a lot of children that he coaches, so he's trying to protect them at the same time. And the people, Eric and Andrew, they don't believe what he's saying. They don't believe that he's telling the truth. Of course, somebody runs in your house and tell you, "We finna save the world." Even through the news stories, Ben Aldridge is the one who keeps his cool, and he's the one who's just skeptical to the very end, is what I'll say. He's fighting his partner Jonathan. Who's played by Jonathan Goff. He's believing it. He's starting to believe everything that they're saying. He ends up seeing a figure in the light. Like, he's starting to have those similar visions. So it's only Andrew, played by Ben Aldrich, who's very skeptical to the very end. You understand? Now, again, there's not much as far as suspense. After the first about 40 minutes of the movie, 45 minutes of the movie, you should be or the first 30 minutes, you should be well seated in knowing what's going on. It's a sequence of events. You could pretty much see what's going on. It's not much of on the edge of your seat type of entertainment going on. Everything, like, now it's interesting to watch. You want to see what's going to happen next. You want to wait to see, is this true? But that whole time, you're not really, everything leading up to that, you can pretty much expect or predict. It's not a bunch of deep suspense. I will say that. This isn't that much of a psychological thinker, as some of his others, as the other films that I've mentioned that he's came out with. There have been more psychological, deep, cerebral scripts that he's written. But again, this is based off of a book that comes from Paul Tremblay. And that's called The Cabin at the End of the World is the name of the book. If you want to go check that out. The Cabin at the End of the World. Again, the book's a bit different. I always like to read the novels. I like those better than the films. But, sometimes the films can definitely expound on that and make it, give you the visual aspect and make it greater. I think this film hurt the book, to be honest. I think you would be better off reading the book. Just to be honest. Because out of the ratings, for the Coolclub, for the Glitch Trap Cool review, I have to give it a 5 out of 10. It was borderline in getting a 4 out of 10. I really will say I'll give it a 5 out of 10. You can choose to watch it if you want. It's not something that you'll be writing home about. I'll tell you that much. It's not something that you'll even probably want to watch again. After you saw, like I said, after you see what happened, and you're not going to want to see this movie again. Of course, this isn't a movie that's set up for any sequels or anything like that. But there's also it's just a weird atmosphere. I'll say a lot of uncomfortable moments in this film. It's just a weird atmosphere. That's what I could say. They play on religion here, so you could tell the themes here is religion, LGBT relationships, people fighting for that, people against that in society, and, and God himself being against that. These are the themes of the movie. But again, it just makes for, you don't know who you're rooting for. It just makes for a very weird atmosphere. I mean, of course, because Dave Bautista, if that's true, they make good arguments. But hey, it's a 5 out of 10 for me on the Cool review. I say go see it if you want, but it's not a movie you're gonna be leaving you're not gonna leave the film with your adrenaline pumping, like, yeah, I just saw, I just saw a great film. No, I'm sorry. I mean, people could say it was good. I seen Tyrone Mag doing a review that you could say, and that's fine. It's something you can watch. It's watchable. And again, people want to see what's going to happen at the end. A lot of people are probably expecting a twist. But you will not come out of this movie saying that I want to see, man, this was a great movie. I want to see this again. The replayability of this movie is 0 to me. It's worse than M. Night Shyamalan's other films. I'm sorry. It's work, like, as far as replayability, because you saw everything. Like, there was nothing that this movie, there was like nothing visual. Everything basically took place at the cabin. There wasn't a lot of set pieces here. But again, hey, if you want to go see it, go ahead. I mean, and you let me know how you felt about it in the comments. So with that being said, I am the Glitch Trap. This is the Cool Club. Bonk, bonk, bonk. I'm gone.